I
Hello,
feel like I'm.
teacher.
Hi.
Okay, so this is another episode, or maybe it'll be the first episode. Who knows? Because I haven't released any yet. But of Moved by Media, where we just have good old casual chats about media that we have been moved by lately. And today I have Teedra here with me to talk about Is God Is, which is a new movie that just came out. And we were both extremely moved by it. We have held off on talking about it so that we could have this conversation on this forum. You ready to get into it?
As ready as I ever be.
Okay. So let's start with first of all, what did you rate the movie out of 10?
Out of 10, I give it like a 9.
Okay. I also gave it a 9. And I'll get to why I gave it a 9 in a minute. And as we have the conversation, tell me, why you get, if we come to the point where it's like, this is why I gave it a 9, make sure you call it out. If not, we'll talk
Okay.
about it at the end.
Okay.
But I also gave it a 9. So we are aligned on that. I want to give it a 10 real bad. And maybe if I see it again, I'll be able to give it a 10. But there's something that held me back. But we'll get there. So let's start with the title because when I seen I'd actually never seen the trailer. I just like seen the post with the trailer. And I was like, why is it called Is God Is? And obviously we see in the movie that they, call their mother God. But I was a little still confused by the title and I had to come home and like sit with it. Do you have any like thoughts on the title or why they titled it that? Like what was your interpretation of it?
To be honest with you, I don't know. And I didn't even sit with it. And I've seen the trailer multiple times. So I can't even say if I thought too far into it because I thought with the title it was gonna be religious of sorts. Which
Mm-hmm.
it kind of was, spiritual, whatever, which it kind of was, but it didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go. So I can't say that the title moved me one way or another, but
Mm-hmm.
it
So
was definitely okay.
what I thought after I sat with it, because I'm like, dang, why was it called Is God Is? Because I kept just calling it God Is. I kept telling people, I'm going to see God Is. I'm going to see God Is. And that would have made sense to me, because they're calling their mother, Vivica Fox's character, Ruby, God throughout the movie because she's their creator, if you will.
Mhm.
But then when I thought about it, I'm like, wait, but there's twins, and the twins are like bookends of God. So one of them being like her softer side, like the softer side of the character, the caring side of the character, and then one of them being more like vengeful and like action oriented side of the character. And so that was my thought. And I can't, I don't know if that's what they were going for with the naming, but I'm like, it gives like the bookend. So the two sisters being on the side of God being the mother.
Mhm.
And so that's what I was thinking. But I was curious to know if, and I'd be curious, and I'll have to look it up to see if the writer has explained why she named it that, because I was like, man, what an interesting title, but what's the extra is?
Yeah, I like your interpretation, though, so we're gonna go with that for right now.
Okay, we're gonna say that that's it. So in this movie, who was the villain for you?
Um, he was the
Okay.
father.
Hmm.
Like it was clear, And as you watch the movie, you kind of see like in the previews, you kind of get a glimpse of what it was, and as you watch the movie, it just got worse and worse. So there was a clear villain, and it was always him. I never showed him any grace. I'm lying. I did a little bit, and then I realized why I shouldn't, because he was always the bad guy.
Hmm. I agree. And I've seen some, and the reason I asked that is I've seen some commentary online where people were like, the mother, God, whatever you want to call her, she was the villain. And she was the villain. And Divine, which was Erica Alexander's character, was the villain. And I'm just like, where did we watch the same thing? And I think it's so telling of the way that patriarchy has us warped in the mind that a man can literally do all the things that we seen him do, set his woman and his children on fire, cut his lawyer's tongue out, beat on his wives mercilessly, like do all of these things that we see him do throughout this movie, and a person can watch it and get to the end and say the women are the villain. are the villains. And it's like, how did we get there when there is a clear villain? His name, he's listed as the monster on the movie, and yet
Right.
we found a way to bring it back to blaming women. So I was very thrown by that conversation because I see several people saying that.
Which is crazy. Cause what?
Yeah, very. Um, okay, so now let's get to the part that made me say why I gave it a 9. So they decide to go on this journey to go get vengeance based on Racine being like, hell yeah, we finna burn shit up.
Hmm.
And they go to Divine, and I want to hear your thoughts on her in a moment. And then, they take the phone book and they take that and find the lawyer, and they go on this whole journey. And then they're in the field, and then they wake up and they're on a bus. And so I could never figure out, and again, maybe when I watch it again, it'll become more clear, but I am not clear on what was real and what wasn't of what we
Hmm.
seen up until that point. And that confusion is what made me give it a 9, because I'm like, okay, I want to know, like, what of that actually happened and what of that was made up. Like, at what point did we leave reality and go to the dream before we came back? What did you think?
That part was kind of confusing because, and I don't know if it was just her putting it in there, the writer putting it in there to speak to um their twin telepathy thing that they had going. Because
Mm-hmm.
I remember when they woke up when they were at the water, and she was like, "This don't feel real," and then they woke up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was a nod to that. I don't really know. Like you said, it was very confusing. So it leaves it open to interpretation because I didn't know, like, because I didn't expect for, okay, so when he, I guess I don't want to go there, but like I didn't, when what happened, and then they had to start walking, and then it's like you said, it was very confusing to where it was like, how far did y'all walk before y'all found a bus stop? Where the hell
Mm-hmm.
were y'all before y'all found a bus stop? Like, how is it so convenient that so quickly now you in California? Like, it was just a lot. So how much time has passed? So that was like a major jump that didn't really make sense. But I guess I kind of let it slide, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because the rest of the movie just continued to play out and it made sense.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it didn't keep me from enjoying the movie by any means, but I'm like, was Divine real? Was the brother that they met at the church real? Was them tracking them down real? Was the conversation with the lawyer real? Like, all of that then became questionable to me, and I'm like, well, how much of this did they never take the car? Did they immediately get on the bus after they met with God? Like, I was so like baffled. So I think that part was the only thing that had me like, okay, I really wish I understood how much of that was real, you know?
Hmm.
What did you think about Divine? Because I thought her character was really well done, but I think it said a lot about organized religion and such, and women in the church and such. So I'm curious about your thoughts on her.
Um, I thought she was crazy as hell. Um, for one, I really thought that she was the what. It's really kind of hard to put into words because there's so many layers to her, and her scene was not even that long, but there's
Mm-hmm.
so many layers because it's like you create this thing with her church. They're worshiping what the people are worshiping, what they think is God, but essentially I felt like they were worshiping her, and then in turn she was worshiping who they thought was God, but she was actually worshiping the monster,
Mm-hmm.
from which we saw that when she opened up that cabinet and there was a shrine to the man that hadn't been back in 30 years.
It gave Helga
So,
Pataki, right?
girl, what? What do you mean? And it's just like, you have this thing, and that's beating you up physically,
Uh-huh.
mentally, emotionally, but you still holding on to the thing that you know is going to hurt you. And like you said, it was like a nod to organized religion and just the psychosis that comes with some people that get stuck into that. So she had her God, and then in turn, she was the God to the people, but none of them were worshiping the real God.
That's good. I wasn't even thinking about how her influence on the church. I was definitely pointing towards her, the way she was worshiping him, but I wasn't even thinking about the way that they were worshiping her. But you're so right, because even when she was back there smacking on them ribs, I hate to hear people chew. I was like, oh, please. But the way that they were like, okay, I'll take it. Okay, okay. It's like they were like slaves to her almost. It felt like, as opposed to seeing her as a human who is, a conduit between you and God, if you will, as a pastor should be. But I think it definitely was just a purview into the way sometimes organized religion is and how male centered it can be. Because even with a woman pastor, somehow this all went back to being male centered because at her center was the monster, you know?
Right. And you can even tell, like,
Mhm.
to my comment earlier, how they were more of worshipers of her than they were of God, because they were quote unquote slain in the spirit. But as soon as she said, "Welcome our guests," they got up and said, "Hey y'all!" Like
Mhm.
that was crazy.
It was.
So you can just tell, like, you can't just, if you really in it, like in it, you ain't gonna just stop, get them out
Yeah.
of it, and do what you say. Like that's kind of crazy.
Exactly. Exactly. So I enjoyed her. Like you said, she had a very small part, but it was super impactful. Like I was like, oh, this is good. I appreciate that they kept that in there. Let me see what else. What else? So there are three different mothers in this movie. So we see, well, three and a half. We see Vivica, obviously, as God.
Hmm.
We see Divine, Erica Alexander's character, and we see Janelle Monae as the other mother, if you will. I don't even think she has a name in the casting. The mother of his sons.
Hmm.
What were your thoughts about her character? Because it made me uncomfortable, but uncomfortable in a good way, like uncomfortable the way that good art should make you sometimes, So what were your thoughts about her character?
Janelle was Angie, by the way.
Okay, Angie.
Um, but she was. I hate to say this in a way, and I don't know how to say it and not be insensitive. So if it comes off insensitive, this is not what I mean. But she is an example of a lot of women that are in the world that are dealing with men of the monster's character, because she had everything and it looked good from the outside and she was okay with it until it started happening to her, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the thing that I got from it. Not saying that, you know, he immediately started beating on her and, doing the abuse and all of that stuff. But it's like she had the house, she had the car, she had the clothes, she had the shoes, she had the purses. So because she has those things, there's some people that value and worship that material over the moral, over what's right, over, oh, he's doing that because he loves me. I've seen it and I hate it. But that's the kind of character that I felt like she was playing,
Mm-hmm.
because she knew about the girls, but she only knew what he told her. She didn't bother to do the research to find out they were still living. So when she said y'all are alive, like, you knew this man came into your life, gave you a pity, a sob story. You believed it, basically, because clearly you started a life with him. Y'all have kids together. Y'all been together for years because y'all kids are grown. And it's just like you didn't do your due diligence to find out who he really was. And now that you know and you're tired of it, you're ready to go. But it was, you were, it was okay when you were getting what you want, when you getting what you
Mm-hmm.
wanted. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. So I wrote down. I thought she was really tolerant and self indulgent. Because even when she was, packing up to get ready to go, it was, I think, it appeared to me, and maybe I missed something, but it appeared to me like she was just taking herself on a little vacation. Is that what you got from it?
Well, she did say it was one part. It was kind of a whisper, but she did say something about you have $11,000. You have enough to do this and
Hmm.
gamble, and then you'll have this much left to start a new life, or something like that. She said
Okay.
so. Her leaving was indicative of her trying to get away, and she was like kind of leaving the boys because they were basically images of him. And because
Mm.
even when she was getting in the car, and the guy was the older one, the more attractive one was like, "What's for dinner?" or something like that, and she was like, "You're grown, you can figure it out." Something like that. She told him,
Hmm.
and then she was like, "Okay, this is gonna be all over. You just gotta get it. You gotta get here. You'll get here by this time. You'll gamble a little bit. You got $11,000 left. This is what's gonna happen."
Hmm.
Like I felt like that was her getaway plan because she had finally got to the point where she realized like this man is awful. I have to get out of here. I'm leaving these children behind. I've done my part in raising them. Maybe not good, but
Hmm.
now I have to find what I got to put me first, Lucian. Is what you getting? That's what
Exactly.
I was getting from that.
Okay, okay. So yeah, I was a little confused. And maybe it was her talking about the gambling that threw me because I'm like, okay, you going on a trip or are you leaving this man? And even that I feel like points to like you are so self-indulgent. You're trying to escape a terrible situation and you like, I'm gonna go to the casino and blow a little bit of cash first. And it's like, girl, what are we doing? Um and even the way she treated the girls, then you turn around and spit in her face when she's like, no, we're not dead, we're his daughters, and we know you married to him, blah blah blah. And obviously it's a high tension conversation, but you didn't take that and say, oh my god, I can imagine what y'all went through because I know what I went through. Like you're still just kind of like all about self. You're not worried about your kids that you brought into this world. You're not worried about these kids who you thought were dead for all these years. All you worried about is getting to that casino, spend a little bit of money, and then go on about your day. So I was very like I said, it made me uncomfortable, but uncomfortable in a way that a good character does. And I'd say all the women, not all the women, but all the mothers in this movie did make me uncomfortable in a way that's almost like these are different types of mother archetypes. And I think, obviously I'm jumping to the end and saying this, but we'll get to it in a second. And that's why I felt like it was so powerful that Anaya was pregnant because we get to see her make the conscious choice to break the cycle and not be any of them. Because, Vivica Fox was vengeful, like at
Mhm.
any cost. Like, hey, I want y'all to do this. I don't care who y'all gotta burn down in the way. Like, get him, and it's on y'all to do. You send your children out into a dangerous situation with a monster who almost took you out, who ruined your life after you abandoned your kids. Because you felt like it was the best thing to do, but you still did it. And then divine, Superman centered, and whatever. And then Janelle, super self indulgent. So it's just like all of these things. I felt like we're showing us these different, slightly negative mother archetypes that have been involved with this man. And then we get to see the redemption at the end. So I felt like that was kind of a beautiful situation. Any thoughts on that?
I don't think I have anything to add. I think you summed it up really well because again, not to jump to the end,
Mm-hmm.
like it was just like from start to the ending, it was like a holding your breath moment. So then we got there
Mm-hmm.
and we had a moment of relief because we knew that although we had gone through all of these things, there was going to be some light at the end of that tunnel. And we typically don't see that a lot of times, especially as Black women. So that was just like, okay, I'm holding my breath for this hour and 25 minutes, but them last 5 minutes to make it an hour and a half, I was able to breathe easy. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, so I don't really have much to add to that because I think he summed it up perfectly, but it was definitely one of those. I'm stressed out what's about to happen because it's been so bad up until this point. So it was definitely a moment of relief.
Yeah, and then just to think that Anaya, over the course of, let's say this all happened in the course of 24 hours. We don't know for sure because of the dream sequence, but if this is in 24 hours, in 24 hours, you were able to experience three different mothers, all connected to the same man, all connected to you in a way because of the connection to that man who birthed you, you know what I mean? Who's your
Mhm.
father. And then you get to, at the end, choose differently. You know, like how powerful
Hmm.
is that? Like that feel like a little biblical parable or something. You know, like you get to
Right.
see three different, paths that you could go down and then you get to choose yours. I thought
Right.
that was so good.
Hmm.
Okay, so before we get to the real good stuff, because I feel like the ending was so good. But let's talk about the brothers. The brothers leave a void for me in terms of like interpreting this movie. And like I got that they were like a image of the image of the father and whatnot. But I was just kind of like, what is the brothers? What are they bringing to this conversation? What were your thoughts on the brothers?
Not much. I think I mentioned it before how when Angie was speaking to them when she was about to leave, like you could kind of see how they were, especially the more attractive one was a version of his father. We didn't get a lot. I won't even say we didn't get a lot because we got it at the end when they killed him or right before he died. But we got more character development from the young or the less attractive one because I don't remember their names. But we got more attention or got more character development from him when they had a little fight scene. But I really felt like they were just there to give us a glimpse of the monsters that the monster had birthed. Because
Mm,
when we think about it, because we didn't mention what was it, Ezekiel. We didn't even mention him when we think
mm-hmm,
about it. Like the children of them, except for the girls, all three of the boys were a image of their father. Like
mm,
because when you think about it, at the beginning, they were all three of them polite, nice, kind, mannerable. But when provoked, they turned into
mm.
something that we didn't expect because we had gotten the better version of them when we first saw them the first couple times on the screen. If that makes any sense.
That is really good. That is really
So
good.
I really think that although their role wasn't large, when they first walked in the house, the girls first walked in the house or whatever, and he thought they were strippers. They very nice, very kind, but it wasn't until they came back and had changed that they turned around being rude. We don't want
Yeah.
to look at you. She ugly, calling her this, calling her that. And so we didn't get that at the beginning because they were, again, the monster had to be some type of nice to all versions of these women to get them to do what he wanted them to do. And I got that from the twins. Like nice, like their father at the beginning, and then turned into something that they didn't really have to be, but all they knew by
Hmm.
being raised by this man type of
Oh,
thing.
very true. And that makes me think of another piece of media. So I'm about to go on a little side note tangent here. But did you ever watch why can't I remember It Ends With Us? Or yeah, It Ends With Us.
No, I didn't see that.
Okay. I know you didn't read the book, but I wasn't sure if you seen the movie. But one of the like criticisms of that book and of Colleen Hoover in general is that like people say she romanticizes domestic violence. And I have to strongly disagree because in reading the book and watching the movie, all they're doing is showing that most monsters do not start out that way. And so it starts with small microaggressions that lead to more abusive behavior that eventually escalates into a full-blown abusive relationship. So, that's just the long to the short. But I feel like this movie was a good representation of that. Even just thinking about the brothers, if we put the monster aside, to your point, when they get there, it's like, yeah, I'm nice. And then I slowly get meaner, and then I slowly say this and then that, and then I'll put my hands on you. And then, like it just gets
Mm-hmm.
worse and worse over time. And I feel like that's something that is important in media and just in understanding of like domestic violence and abuse is that like, hey, it's a person is not going to charm you by being a monster right off the bat. Like they're not going to show you that side of them. They're going to show you the charming side, the kind side, very tender, and then slowly, it's kind of like what do they say? If you put a frog in hot water, it's gonna try to jump out. But if you put it in cool water and you just slowly turn up the temperature, it doesn't realize it's boiling alive.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good. Because I was a little. I don't know. And I'm not gonna say let down by the brothers because I do think they were important to the story, but I was just kind of like, what are we trying to say here? And I still want to read the play. I know you found it and sent it to me, so I still want to actually read it and see if I get any more insights from there as well.
Yes, on the list.
Okay, let's get to the monster. First of all, we don't see his face until the end of the movie. I thought that was so powerful. Something about that. I know that mouth anywhere, so obviously I knew it was my man. But shout out to his wife. She's a beautiful lady. But I knew it was him, of course. And we did because we just knew who was in the movie. But not showing his face because you're just kind of like waiting on that reveal, I felt like gave it even more like power in being sinister. But let's talk about the monster. I'm gonna let you just go for it. Tell me about the monster. How did it make you feel? What were your thoughts during the reveal and or before if you had thoughts prior to that?
Is this PG-13?
You can go crazy.
Because first thought, it has to be. Of course, this is not, real. But first thought is that dick had to be something, baby,
It had to be
because
crazy.
putting everybody through it. And you know what? Maybe it ain't that bad. Like putting everybody, he knew what he was doing. But to your point though, it's very powerful because we know that this is a bad person. We know,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't see how bad it is, of course, until it gets, well, we see it in bits and pieces because we saw him burn up, God. We saw him, you know, disappear on Divine. Like we saw it in pieces, but it
Mm-hmm.
was really at the end that we got a full gist of who he was. And then on top of that, outside of, because of course he's not having sex with his daughters, we knew it wasn't a dick for them, but we saw the scene where
Mm-hmm.
he was like, hey, let's be a family. Let me, you having my first grandchild. Like we saw how he did it.
Why did that get me?
We saw how he did it. Cause girl, I was God. Cause I'm like,
Why did
sir,
that
baby.
get me?
First of all, I love you enough to know that you're not a bad guy.
I was so embarrassed when it turned out to be wrong. I said,
Randall Pearson
wow.
is not a bad guy, okay?
Exactly. He's a good man, Savannah.
So it was just like to your point earlier, like this is how you know that you are doing a damn good job at your job. Because
Mm-hmm.
I am 100% convinced, and I don't want to see this of you, Randall Pearson.
Yes.
I don't want to see this of you, Xavier from Paradise, because you're a good man. You went out in the world and found your wife. You got to watch Paradise, girl. But
It's
it's
on my
just,
list.
it's just like okay, like you are just amazing to even bring this to full circle because I believed everything you said to that girl, knowing that
Mm-hmm.
you ain't shit and you ain't been shit from the beginning because these kids got to be in their 20s plus. So you ain't been shit for a long time, and we've seen the chaos that you've put in people's lives over these years. And yet, and still, I'm sitting here like, oh my god, he gonna be such a good granddaddy. He want to turn over a new leaf. He done lost his kids. He done lost his wife. Like this is about to be good, baby.
Mm-hmm.
When I tell you, I screamed in that movie theater.
And what really did it for me in hindsight is like, this is how a charming and manipulative person can do
Absolutely,
you because we literally, seconds before that part, we saw him come in the house, walk over the bodies of his dead children, and go in the kitchen and make himself a sandwich. And 2 minutes later, we were convinced that this was a good and remorseful man. How did
girl.
he get us like that? Also, phenomenal casting because casting a person who always plays the good guy and then making him a monster and then having us try to say, hey, no, 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 you know me, I am a good guy. That was great. You couldn't have gotten nobody better because I don't know if that would have been Bokeem Woodbine, I wouldn't have bought it. Like, cause he always
Okay,
played a
like that's
bad
just
guy.
crazy.
Cause he always played a bad guy. I'm sure he's a fantastic man, a great, great guy in person. But he always plays the bad guy. So I would have never bought him being like, hey, I'm sorry. I want to start over. We all we got left. I wouldn't have bought that from him. But from Sterling Brown, yes. Yes, I would. And I just when I think back and I'm like, we literally 2 minutes before that watched him step over the bloodied bodies of his children and go in the kitchen and make a sandwich and sit at the table, cut it up. Your sandwich looked good.
Girl, put some chips on the side and everything.
Listen, tearing it up, talking as if none of that had happened. And 2 minutes later, he had me thinking that he was on the
He gonna
road
be
to redemption. How
about
did he
5:30
get
here.
me like that?
Girl, a fool is what we.
A fool. And I consider
Now we get
myself
it.
running a strict program, baby, and he got me. I'm so embarrassed.
I was like, they're gonna be happy family because I just knew Anaya went. Not Anaya. Rancine wasn't dead, so I'm like, they're
Right.
gonna be a happy family. But I'm like, they had to leave her where she was at for it to happen the way that it happened. So I did catch that though.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of predicted that before it happened because I was like, ain't no way they finna just let her go out like this. So
Yeah, yeah, no way.
yeah.
So
But
speaking of
that man
that,
got us. That man got us, girl.
yeah, he did. Let's talk about that ending because that's when I screamed in the theater. They
How
first of
so?
all, let me say that remember when they were talking about how they were gonna do it, and they were like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, we could do this, we could do that. No, that ain't gonna work. We can't do that. No, we can't do that. They ended up doing all the stuff that they said they were gonna do. So
Absolutely.
stone him, they hit him with that rock in a sock.
Mm-hmm.
Push him off a cliff, they pushed him into the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
Drown them. They poured all that alcohol on them. Like I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's good. That's really good. I was very impressed with the way that they made all that come to pass. But when he grabbed her in that tub, when I say I screamed, my heart left my body for a few seconds. I couldn't believe that was happening.
Girl. When I tell you I don't know if the dude next to he was laughing because I said I know you. I said, oh my god, I know you lying. I was trying to be quiet up until that point. I really was, but it was just like I didn't cry, but it just
Mm-hmm.
brought me to just I got a little misty eye because it was just like for one it was a lot of layers. So the first layer that I got was she's going to be without her sister.
Mm-hmm.
The second layer, because she's basically going to be here by herself, because
Mm-hmm.
we know God is passing away. We know she is dying. They don't really have any other family. She
Mm-hmm.
does have the baby. So it's just going to be them two together because we know that the guy that she had gotten pregnant by was embarrassed of her because of the way
Mm-hmm.
how she was explaining it. So I'm like, she's going to be by herself. But then the revelation hit that two things. The first being the same way that Rancine was made to be a monster is the same. So her birth was also her death
Mm-hmm.
because she only became that way because of the fire at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and then she died by those same hands in that same way at the end. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and I don't even remember what the saying is, but the saying is like I can't remember the saying, but they're saying how you get it is how you lose it or something like that. I can't remember
Oh,
exactly
like live by the
verbatim what
gun,
it
die
is.
by the gun type
Yeah, so
situation.
it's
Yeah.
just like, and I was like, oh my God, that's so deep. And I'm like, I don't even know if she's trying to be deep, but that's
Mm-hmm.
what I got from that part. But then at the same time, it's like we as Black women, if we want to take it there, have this anger. We have this anger. And I feel like although they were two people, they were the two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we have that anger, we have that anger, we have that anger, but we have to come to a point where I won't even say kill the anger, but we don't let that be the thing that rules us.
Mm-hmm.
So when sister passed away by the fire, that was essentially the angry Black girl, the angry Black woman going away, so that I can now live in the peace of this soft girl, happy Black woman because I don't have those worries anymore. So I kind of
Mm.
got that from that too. And it was just like, it was very refreshing. And I don't know what part of my mind even made me think about that, but it was just like, you know, that part of me because I feel like we've all been there because of one reason or another. And they had a lot of reasons to be angry on each side, but we saw
Mm-hmm.
her time and time again. We saw Anaya trying to bring her down, trying to bring her down in a way, not bring her down like physically, but just
Yeah.
bring her down with the emotions, just bring her down, make her level headed. And she couldn't do that because she was so dead set on the vengeance and
Mm-hmm.
dead set on the way that the world was treating them. And it's crazy to me because she was the one that looked the most normal.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it was just like, you shouldn't even have this built up anger because you don't get what I get. And I get that you're trying to defend me, but at the same time, like, just let it be. And I felt like when I say breath of fresh air, especially when it was coming to the ending, because she was able to kind of not have that anger looming over her anymore and kind of just make out a life that she wanted it to be without somebody telling her what she needed to be because of what had happened to her.
That's good. Thinking about them as two sides of the same coin and her being able to release the angry side of her. I never thought of that. That's so good. That's so good. Because my initial thought was like, yeah, because vengeance will consume you eventually. And I think,
Hmm.
if we go in biblical, like that is why God is like, hey, it's mine. Not because
Hmm.
it's mine, because I don't want you to have that power, but because I don't want you to carry that burden. Let me. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, cause
Hmm.
that's gonna take you down. Like, if you live your life for vengeance, like eventually it's gonna consume you too. You don't, and you can't live with that on and on and on. I also seen somebody on Threads say this, and again, I'm gonna have to watch for this when I rewatch it. But they said every time that Racine was trying to convince Anaya of what they needed to do, bad, whatever, she was either behind her or like on her shoulder almost, like
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
sitting in the back seat or something, like a devil on your shoulder. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And I'm like, oh wow, I didn't catch that. So I'm gonna have to rewatch for that. But yeah, it's like releasing that, and I felt the same as you. Like I felt a sense of emptiness when it first happened. Like, oh, now it's just her, she outside the house and it's just her. Like, she's got nobody left. Like, what is she gonna do? But it's like she also has new life, that she has that as a companion. And also like she she had to in that moment choose herself, because her mother said like, you got burned the worst because you tried your best to save me, and she knew in that moment, I can't do that again. I can't send myself into the fire again for another person who essentially chose this. And I'm not going to say Vivica Fox chose this, because, she had left the relationship. I think she mentioned having a protection order. Like she did the things that you should do when you want to be done with an abusive partner. So I'm in no way doing like a victim blame thing there.
Hmm.
But her sister chose this, like you chose this path. We could have said no. We could have went on about our lives and said no. You wanted to do this, and unfortunately it consumed you. It doesn't keep me from loving you, but I can't save you.
That's good. Don't keep me from loving you, but I can't say you,
I
girl.
can't save you. I can't do it. Okay, lastly, did you have any other thoughts you wanted to say first that you didn't get to say?
Are you gonna ask about the rating?
Oh, go ahead. Yes. What
If not,
kept
then I
it
was
from
gonna
being a
say
10
something
for
about
you?
it. Okay, so it wasn't a complete 10 for me, and there weren't any loopholes. But you know me enough to know that I like a whole story.
Yes.
You
What
know
she do
me enough
after
to know
that?
I be needing details. So it's just like we did jump to each woman's individual story, but I wanted at least a small little flashback of all three of well, yeah, all three of them, like how they met, like something.
Okay.
And so I think that would have given it a solid 10 for me, even though it didn't take away from the movie at all. Like I still thought it was phenomenal. And I told
Mm-hmm.
you as soon as I finished it, like, hey, that was
Mm-hmm.
good as hell.
Yes.
But it's just like I just wanted a little glimpse, a small little, since we got the flashback of the fire. We got
Mm-hmm.
that. Um we didn't get flashbacks of anything else. The lawyer scene, although it was necessary, I wanted to know, like, a little bit
Yeah.
more, a little
Yeah.
bit more.
Yeah.
So if I would, because we seen, how he, was in the car with him and how he took the man's tongue, but I
Mm-hmm.
wanted just a glimpse,
Okay.
even if it was like 2 or 3 minutes each of
Mm-hmm.
each of them and their storyline, the backstory of that. It would have been fine for me, and that would have made it a 10.
Okay.
But outside of that, it was beautiful.
Okay. Okay. That's good. That's good. Yeah. I think that definitely would have added a little more depth to it. And also just going back to what we were talking about, it would have showed us like, how did these women get here with him? You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
show us the tender side that he did to each of you before he did it with his daughters?
Right.
Um, okay, so the last question is, why were you moved by this particular piece of media?
For a couple reasons. For one, I love all things black,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm gonna support it, even if it's good, if it's bad, I'm gonna support it because it's us, and we need that. So that was one of the reasons why I was moved. The another reason why I was moved is because it gave layers. Like a lot of people put us in categories and put us in these boxes, and we don't get to experience or get to be certain things in the eyes of other people. And for me, we got the anger, we got the desperation, we got the um the yearn. That's what I got from Angie. The yearning to be loved and be accepted. I just we got all of the layers from all of the women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that to me was major because we went in thinking, okay, it's gonna be these girls trying to kill their daddy,
Mm-hmm.
but it was also the layers. We saw, even though it was supposed to be, I guess, a suspense or a thriller or whatever they characterized it to be, we saw a happy ending. Although it wasn't the happy ending that we would have expected, it still was happy ending in a way that made you be okay. Like I said, I felt like I was holding my breath and I was able to breathe at the end because I felt like there was some light at the end of the tunnel, some hope. Yeah, we lost a lot of people,
Yeah.
but in that, because of those sacrifices and because of those things that were done to those people, somebody's able to say, you know what, I've overcome and I've come out of that and I'm going to be better because of it.
That's good. That's good. I love that. Well, thank you for joining me for this conversation. This was so good to me.
And I cheated a little bit. I'm not gonna even hold you. You welcome. But I did Google like what people thought the name meant, and I read something that I thought was actually very, very good. So I just want to share that real quick if
Yeah.
anybody wants to look at it. Um, Somebody explained it in this thread. Is God is. So Rancine, is it Rancine?
Uh huh. West
Okay, Rancine.
Racine. I don't think it's
Oh,
got an end.
Racine. Sorry, Racine um was the God is part of it. Anaya was the is God, so it was a question and a statement because Anaya questioned it. Like, is God really? Should we be doing this? Are you sure about this? But Anaya was, Racine was so hell bent on God is. So what she said goes. Sister was questioning it. So when they put it like that, I'm like, okay, I can see that.
That's
At the
good.
beginning, it's a question, and at the end, it's a statement. And I'm like,
Mm,
y'all, it's deep. Okay.
that's real good. Give this writer her things. Like,
I love
wow.
that. So now that I'm thinking of it like that, and when having seen the movie, I'm just like, that makes perfect sense.
I can't wait to watch it again. They need to
And
hurry
read
up and put
and
that on
read the
streaming.
screenplay.
Yes, I can't wait. Well, thank
Yes.
you for joining me. This was so good.
Thank you for asking me. I love being a part of stuff.
Okay, bye.
Bye.